Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ask the Answers podcast with myself, Adele Cobain. And you'll probably recognize this lady, or this lady, if I can do it in the right direction, is the lovely Sherry.
Hi, Adele, and everybody.
Hello, Sherry. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here today.
Well, Sherry, I mean, even since we last spoke, things are already growing in so many ways with the podcast. We've now got download our app, the QR code at the top of the screen. We are also going to be launching all of these podcasts now on YouTube, which is going to get more viewers and reach more people. Everything that you predicted a little while ago is hopefully now coming into fruition, and the seeds have been sown, shall we say, and they're now going to flourish, shall we say.
Amazing. It's beautiful to be in alignment with all of that and with you here today.
Absolutely. I mean, can you remember what we last got up to with the podcast and what's evolved since we last had a chat?
Yes, it's a continuation, the energies, and I already pulled some cards ahead of time for today where, Saturn and Aries is making us look, and with the new moon in Cancer that just passed yesterday, we're doing post-Cancer energies now. So Cancer is very nurturing, where our roots, our safety are all coming up for review at this time, if you don't notice that, right? So today we can tune into the cosmic and symbolic weather, both, intuitively, astrologically, and I pulled some tarot for us. So
amazing.
Yeah. So there's transits that you could feel energetically, and the whole point in sharing my gifts in this way with you and our listeners is to take the energies and see what's available to us and see how we can align with them instead of resisting them, right?
Yeah.
So right now we're moving through the aftermath of the recent Cancer new moon, which was yesterday, and it's an invitation to soften, right? To come home to ourselves, to tend to our emotional roots. And there's also what's happening. I'm in tune with the Venus and Leo energy. Venus, the planet of love, is in your sign, Adele, where you could probably feel there's a pull between vulnerability and bold self-expression. Does that resonate?
Yeah, absolutely. I was me and my husband, obviously, as we last spoke, has been made redundant, so we've been spending much more quality time together. But on the flip side of that, I was also feeling the need to reconnect with my friends. I said to my husband, I love what we got. I love my family. I love what we've got together. But I just feel I'm missing my friendship groups that I haven't seen for such a long time. I feel I need to reconnect with them. And I spoke to my friend who I haven't seen for a whole year. And I said, I need to see you. It's been too long. I'm meeting up on her on Tuesday, and then we're also going to meet up again in July. Then I reconnected with another friend and said, look, we need to get a date in a diary, because before we know it, weeks, months, years go by, we haven't seen one another. And so and now I feel, as my husband, I said, I feel much better today. I feel I've reconnected with my friends. I'm going to be seeing them. So I'm feeling good.
Right. So with that Venus and Leo, that the energy that we get from that is where love wants to be seen, right? But only if it feels safe and real.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So a lot of our connections or relationships, partnerships, whatever, they're all up for review right now. And the other astrological transit that we're in right now is Mercury in Cancer. Planet of Mercury. So this is communication where it can be more emotional and intuitive, right? And this is where I'm going to start to get into the cards with us. So to kind of blend the transits with the tarot, the energy.
Okay.
So the first card I pulled, I'm going to talk about a little bit, is the Wheel of Fortune, right? This is destiny in motion. This reminds us that life moves in cycles. Whether it's a bold up and down, it's still sometimes, and sometimes wild. And right now we're at a turning point. That's what the Wheel of Fortune brings, that energy in. So with this passing new moon yesterday in Cancer, it's asking us to reset emotionally. Do you resonate with that as well, Adele?
100%. Again, just reflecting back on what I just mentioned, I said to my husband, yes, I have my work colleagues. Yes, I have, associates from my school friends, but I want my deep connection with my loved ones, my friendships. I have those deep bonds with, the memories with, not just, and as much as I love some of the new connections I've had, some of them is a little bit more detrimental in the fact that when we meet it's more of a social drinking, and then I feel awful the next day, and I think, oh, it's nice, but I don't really need that. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, because Cancer's home. So Cancer wants to feel rooted at the same time. So for me, Spirit drew me back yesterday with the new moon to go back and start painting. So 2018 was the last time I held a paintbrush onto a canvas. So it's back again. I'm feeling nostalgic, and it's, you know, I'm channeling a lot on my my artwork.
Is that something that's behind you, your artwork?
Oh no, this is not mine.
I was going to say, pretty impressive.
Yeah, this is my housemate. She supported a light worker in her art, so it's beautiful. Yeah, no,
you need to get your own work behind you.
No, that's not mine. But mine is still in progress. So anyway, yesterday I also did or 2 days ago I did a post where I felt like I was out in the open and emotionally charged. Like, that's not like me to be so open, but Cancer pulled that out of me. There was a, you know, emotional sensitivity to it. So again, Wheel of Fortune, this is a moment where we stop, right? We pause, and and the inner truth is going to start to be exposed. Okay, whether this is about a relationship, a pattern, a path you're on, this wheel, Adele and our listeners, is turning so that our soul, because our soul already knows the answer. Yeah. And it's just going to remind us and continue to pull out of us that it's safe to choose. Because guess what, the powerful continuation here is the next card after the Wheel of Fortune is the Two of Swords in reverse. Okay, so that has a lot to do with overcoming indecision, taking off the blindfolds. It's like a fated karmic turning point where you can't ignore this anymore. Because Cancers are drawing it out of us, right? And after that, I'm going to go backwards right into that again. But the last card I pulled was Justice in reverse, right? So that's also powerful, because in reverse, in combo with the Wheel of Fortune, this has, and the Two of Swords, right? This creates like a clear story for me where there's a karmic shift like that's underway, and it's revealing, what's been out of balance for us, right? Internally or externally. And these cards, they speak truth. They hold us accountable and move us more towards alignment. Especially in the areas where we may have been ignored or we are trying to justify things. So we're all being asked at this time, to take and do some radical work where things are, how do I say this? If they were misaligned and the truth was bent, and we all do it, whether it's conscious or unconscious, they can't be avoided or delayed anymore with this Two of Swords here. So this could be, an external situation where someone's not being honest. Because this week I had a lot of calls on our lines where people have just had it. They've just had it with their relationship, but there's a part of them that wants to hold on and gets mad at themselves because why am I holding on? Because I love them so much. But there's this feeling, it's more like an intervention, right? And most of the energies with Cancer, I sense, Mike's, in my world with this work and in my personal life, it's internal. So it's making us question, where are we not being honest with ourselves, right? Where are we rationalizing something that deep down, Adele, we know isn't right? Can you think of something real quick and you want to share in your life?
I think for me personally, I think just the last few months has been so much going on, and a bit of a transition period, as you're aware of, with me and my partner being made redundant. He's been having interviews. He's got one today, actually, at 3:00, which he really wants. Well, hopefully it's the one that is the right one for him, and or our fingers are crossed for him to get this one. He's had a couple of other interviews, but haven't come into fruition. But this is the one that he really wants today. And then I just have been feeling, just the last sort of couple of weeks, I've had a great time recently. My husband's been at home. We've been doing up the house. Obviously, maybe that Cancerian energy around, sorting out the home life. And then I just felt the last week or two that maybe I wasn't fueling my body in the right way, because the summer comes, you're meeting up with, I said neighbors or, associates or work, and you're having a few drinks, and I don't feel as clear headed. Then I'm probably self-sabotaging myself a little bit. I've been questioning myself, like, am I self-sabotaging what I've got? And then my husband's like, don't beat yourself up. You work hard. You're the best shit you've ever done. But I'm not fueling myself in the right way. I know I'm not, and I know I could be better with my health and my nutrition and being on point a little bit more of that, because if I'm doing that, I'm going to be more clear focused. I'm going to do a better job. So that's how I've been feeling the last few weeks. Whether that ties in with that, I don't know. But everything else I feel has been quite aligned with me and my husband. But yeah, just a little tweak. I think I just need a little bit of tweak of seeing friends and eating better and nutrition wise for me personally.
Yes, Cancer is all about nurturing, especially with food. That's another whole conversation we can get into another day. But yes, this is a karmic wake-up call. This is where energetic debts are being balanced for us, right?
And do you know what? Sorry to add into this, which I didn't share with you. I've had a few premonitions and dreams recently that have come into fruition. And as you're aware, my parents passed away quite early on. My mum a few years ago. And because I wasn't feeling myself and too great, and yes, probably beating myself up because, it was my son's birthday, my birthday, had a few drinks and stayed up late and all that sort of thing. But as you're aware, I've also got a rare heart condition. So if anything, I should be looking after myself more. My mum never comes into my dreams. I can probably mention a handful of times when she has, and maybe more around my birthday month. I tend to think about her a little bit more, that I'm missing her. And she came in my dream, and in the dream, she was trying to pick me up in the car from a destination. She couldn't find me. She then did find me in the car park, but as she came to meet me in her car, she zoomed up the top of the cliff, bumped another car off the cliff, and then her car went down. I ran over to her, pulled her out of the car. I went, "What are you doing?" And she went, "I put my foot on the gas rather than putting it on the brake." And I went, "Well, thank God you're all right. What are you doing?" And I woke up feeling like I need to sort myself out, that I'm doing too much of maybe not looking after myself, or I'm doing too much. I need to be careful. It was almost like a wake up call, like, be careful. You have got a heart condition. Don't overindulge. That's how I felt when I woke up.
That makes total sense. And thank you for Mom for coming through and looking after you from the upper realms. And that's what Cancer season is. It's going to stir emotional truth within us, right? Justice reverse, again, what happens when we don't listen to our gut and we try to hold on to this old version of truth that isn't ours anymore, right? So leads me also with the transit of Mercury in Cancer. Now, pay attention to the conversations when you have the reunion with your girlfriends and your friends, because they might feel tender, some triggering, and especially if they start to reveal what's hidden, they might bring stuff up, right? Yeah. So it's kind of happening when you said, "Oh, you had a couple of drinks," and it brought a little edge. But all of this truth, just as a reminder, is in service to healing. There's purpose in that dream. You had conversation in your other three beyond 4D 5D realms in your dream space with Mom, right? So this wheel of fortune is showing you that something is shifting, that this life cycle wants to begin for you. And because we're not hiding, we're not ignoring it, we're not brushing it under the rug, it might not look the way you expect. Right? Like, for everyone that's listening, there's a higher intelligence at work all the time. And I just told that to a client on a call this morning. It's less about controlling the outcome and more about riding this wave right now, because that's how we understand how Venus and Leo, right? It's asking us to trust ourselves wholeheartedly in our fullness. And that's what you're doing, to trust that divine guidance from your mom. And sometimes that means letting go of our old narratives. Cancer is emotional, that kept us from dimming our light. And so this wheel of fortune, again, feels like a cosmic reminder, right? Just because you can't control things, and just because it's not happening doesn't mean it's not. It's just a change in motion. And if you've been doing the inner work, which you and I both know, we've been on top of that. This could be a moment of karmic return. So all of us, the advice from the God source universe that I channeled was to stay open. Stay in your heart space,
Yeah.
Stay
Yeah.
grounded, because what's leaving is making room for something that's more aligned. Whether that be a new career, a new job for your husband, new role, trust, have them and trust the timing, that if it's not happening right away, it's not your timing, it's divine timing. So
Yeah.
to be patient and trust that gap, right? So
Yeah.
that next card, going back to the Two of Swords, I just want to talk about that real quick. This is a powerful follow-up to the Wheel of Fortune. Why? Because it suggests that the change, as I said, is in motion. It's like us being pushed into our truth, or a choice that we've been avoiding. So in reverse, we're being nudged, and you're feeling the nudge with your dream space with mom, right? Like,
Yeah.
to take off the blindfold, to stay neutral and not numb or disconnected.
Yeah.
Neutral. So if things are becoming uncomfortable for our listeners, right? It means that the veil is thinning. It's starting to lift. You may feel exposed at this time, but guess what? Clarity is on its way, and the discomfort is temporary, okay? And it's helping us choose differently. I mean, that's growth. To me,
Yeah.
that's all worth it. Venus and Leo. Where's Leo in your chart again?
Oh, I don't know, actually.
I forgot. I think you're midhaven, you said. Or your ascendant, it was. I think you told me
I
it
know
was
my
your middle.
moon's Scorpio, and
Yes.
I might have Leo rising, I think.
Right. So, but basically, you honoring your health choices, it
Yeah.
triggered something when you said, "Oh, I was drinking too much, and I don't want to be like this the next day." So it's making you honor your worth,
And my heart
right?
monitor is not working on my watch. I always have my heart
Oh,
monitor, and since that dream, since I felt that impact, my heart monitor is not working on it. It normally sinks in, and it's not sinking in. It's like it's not showing my heart rate.
oh, that's fascinating, because you that means you probably don't need it,
Mm,
you know, and to
worrying about
trust your inner compass rather than even though technology can be positive.
everything else is working on it, just not the heart monitor, which always works on it. But since I've had the dream and me
That's
worrying about my
amazing.
heart condition, that's not working.
I mean, that's so symbolic. I'd like to look
Mm,
into that for you and
yeah.
maybe tune into that. Um, so yeah, it's just about, like, how do I maintain balance and harmony, even if my heart monitor is not working and I don't know what's going on. Is to you're still staying balanced and trusting your process. Lastly, I want to talk about the Justice in reverse, right? This is the moment is not about judgment; it's about realignment, right? So where we think we could be, where we could, some of us could think, oh my God, I'm being punished, what did I do to deserve this? No, look at it, change your perspective, and say, okay, this is a recalibration. Like, you maybe feel called, even some of you, or I know I have, to take accountability and walk away from what doesn't feel true anymore. We're setting stronger, firmer, higher standards and boundaries for ourselves energetically. And the energies this week and onwards are saying to be honest, even if it's uncomfortable. And this is why I can appreciate the transits happening, because it's the only way forward,
Yeah.
that's where you can stay clean and clear,
Yeah.
right?
Like
And
that.
and so, like, some self-care things that I always like suggest in my sessions are some journaling prompts, and I'm happy to share them. One of them I wrote down was, where am I not being honest with myself, and what would I change if I were, right? So, and sometimes I also encourage lighting your favorite candle. I like the white because it speaks out loud, and speak out loud the truth. Like, where am I not being honest? Okay, I'm not being honest where I'm being a martyr here. Speak that. Use the new moon energy to release what you've been holding on inside, and declare a new internal agreement with yourself, because you are rewriting your story as you speak it out loud. What we
Yeah.
think, feel, and speak comes into existence. So what are some of your rituals that you engage in, especially with new moons, Adele? Have you done any yet?
Yeah, I always practice gratitude. I always say what I'm grateful for and what I'm thankful for in my lives. I always make sure I say that before. I even do that with my daughter. She'll say, let's go to our little prayer seat. We got like a little swing outside, and she calls it the prayer seat, even though we're not religious, but she likes to call it our little prayer seat where we'll go. And well, first of all, before we ask for anything, we must say what we're thankful for and what we're grateful for. So we always do that. I think I might have shared that before. And then and yeah, I just always look up to the moon or just visualize, you know, what we would like. I'm grateful for, but this is what we would like. And if it's possible, if it's what is beneficial or what we deserve, then send it our way. That type of attitude. And if it's not meant to be, then obviously it's not meant for us. But yeah, I think for me, obviously working out and exercising is always a good thing. Getting out in nature when I'm going out with the pony, I always find that very healing. Going out in the countryside, yeah, all those sort of things, that's really sort of grounds me. Yeah, and then I've got crystals around the house. I don't use crystals as much as I used to, but I do have them around the place, and the children have them as well. But yeah, just looking after myself, and that's again something that I need to work on at the moment. Yes, I work out loads, but I just need to fuel myself better is what I need to do at the moment. But those are the things that I would probably do. I have obviously used smudge sticks when I've moved into houses and things like that to clear the energy. But yeah, just spring cleaning, freshening up that energy so it's not so stagnant.
Right. So that's your soul internally, expressing itself outwardly by like closing out these cycles, these shifts, in motion that we talked about, that the wheel of fortune and justice is bringing in these next couple of weeks to months even. They could be they could be subtle, or they could be like cosmic. They could be, it's all moving us to a cycle that's closing, because in order to get to our next destination, if you prayed for something more or bigger, we have to close out certain doors, right? The karmic door is cracking open. Like, this is something in our life that's no longer sustainable. Just like you said, like with the whole brake and the gas thing, like knowing when to move, when to stop. And like this, it's internal. It was internal for you, and your mom confirmed that. That was so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So it's pushing you towards change, right? Because it's like you want to go, but at the same time, the break was like, we don't always, in the reality, we may not get to control the hows and the whens, but when we do, what we do get to do is we get to choose how we show up in the process.
Yeah.
And so how are you showing up in your process with yes, your health, securing how you teach the girls how to do the gratitude list? Like, what are some things that you're letting go of that's just not sustainable for you anymore? Like overworking?
Yeah, I think I've got the balance now. I was overworking. I was juggling too many plates. So I think I've got that in order now, where I'm feeling a bit more, a release, where I think I can do my podcast, I can do the gym work, and have that time with the children. Holidays coming up, I've made sure I've left some days free so I can spend that quality time with the children and be more present with them. So yeah, I mean, I would like to think I feel quite balanced in my life. I feel like content. It was just making sure that hopefully my husband gets some work soon, so he feels content, reconnecting with my friends, and just looking after myself, and then just practice what I preach. I'm telling my children to eat healthy, and then I'm eating like 3 Mars bars in a day, and drinking with my friends, and I don't have to have 3 bottles of wine. I can have 2 glasses, and that be it. It doesn't have to be all or nothing for me. I'm a bit, well, I say I am having Mars. I don't know if that's premenopausal. I don't know, because my other friend who's in her premenopausal, she loves Mars bars these days. So I don't know if it's a thing where you start craving things when you hit that age. But I need to practice what I preach, because I'm telling my children to look after themselves, and I do to a point, but I think I could be a little bit better, if I'm honest.
That's wonderful that you're aware of the choices that you need to work through. And I feel like this tree of cards, Wheel of Fortune, 2 of Swords, and Justice, both in reverse, is allowing us to step out of denial and step into integrity. And that my dad's birthday is tomorrow in spirit world, so it's interesting. He's a Cancer, and so he was a big drinker, and he always like reminded me of the word integrity, at times when I was just unconscious, and he would say, "Sherry, where's your integrity?" And I would question that. I was in high school, what the hell does he mean, integrity? But I mean, that for me now as an adult today, still very childlike inside, but
Yeah.
uh, to me, that's like telling the truth, you know,
Yeah.
setting the boundary and
Yeah.
ending something and owning my part and beginning again and
Hmm.
coming clean and starting that fresh cycle. That to me is integrity.
Yeah.
Is cleaning up, purifying, like a detox, whether that's physical, emotional, spiritual, mental. All areas need balance,
Mm.
and it's just showing up and just being. I like the way you said the word presence earlier,
Mm. Yeah,
right? Like,
being present. I just want to be the best version of myself. I want to bring my A game. I want to be like feeling clear-headed and focused, and and like I said, maybe I have um and again, I can't blame people because
mm,
I'm a grown woman and I set my own boundaries. But I think sometimes you go into that childlike in your 20s, want to have fun and let your hair down, and then you're doing it more often than I've ever done before because I would hardly ever drink, but during the weekdays, I'd only be on a social occasion. But now, as you get older, because you're not going out so much, you go around to people's houses, and then they're just constantly filling up your glasses, and before you know it, 2 or 3 times a week, yeah, you're socializing, having drinks, which you wouldn't normally do. So it's actually all right to say, I just want a coffee or a tea, or I have a soft drink,
yes.
and knowing that I don't want it to impact my work the next day and to feel a bit foggy or not on point.
So in going back to your point about like the all or nothing, the extremities, right?
Yeah,
That's the Scorpio archetype. And
right.
every Scorpio, there's different levels, layers, right? There's, some like from my own experience, personal experience in life, I had to learn moderation and still am continuing to learn that now,
Yeah,
where it was all or nothing. It was always all or nothing. I either, had so much sex and then I went like feast to famine, right?
yeah.
Or like I was always on a diet, or then I just went the other way. So now that I know how both worlds work,
Yeah.
I'm able to design what's healthy for me,
Yeah.
because you think there's only one way or this way, but
Yeah.
no. So Scorpios are meant to experience so much, like pain, because we are the only archetype sign, that zodiac, that goes through so many deaths, right? And then
Yeah.
we're here to share the experiences and the wisdom that come through those deaths,
Right.
to help, as the phoenix rises, that frequency to help other people. So there's purpose in all of that. So
Yeah.
don't judge it,
Yeah.
because when you judge it, you will be judged.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I totally have empathy for that, because I'm still very, in some areas of my life, a little bit scorpionic in
Yeah.
that sense.
Yeah.
I'm an Aries double Scorpio, so it's potent in my chart. But it's not, and with the boundaries, I wanted to make this last point, where it's, when we speak our truth, to some people that could be awkward to set a boundary, like where people are so used to you being nice and doing for them and being there all the time.
Yeah.
I got this download today that it's okay for you to be unrecognizable,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
because this is your journey, this is your evolution, this is, you're not speaking your truth, not to control others, but to come home to yourself.
Mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm.
and I think that's what we have to remind ourselves of this journey. It's still an individual journey, which will affect the collective consciousness,
Yeah. So this
right?
does I don't know how it works for you, but do we work in like 9 cycles? So lots of people are saying
Yes.
we're in the year 9, so it is a lot about endings, and I've heard a lot of loss recently from people passing
Yeah.
away, people losing their jobs. So is this year a clear out year, and then next year is birth and new beginnings and new starts? Is that how it works?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, this is what the energies that I pulled from the cards, and aligning that with the astrological transits, it is confirmation of that cycles are starting to close. And
Mm.
it's something that, like, especially this new moon triggered for me personally, at least, and some of the calls that I've had over the past 3 days, same thing. Like, they, part of them is holding on, part of them is like, oh, I'm so sick of it, I'm so
Mm.
done with it. I shouldn't have to be asked to be chosen or seen. I should, that should flow, that
Yeah.
should flow. So yes, the endings that are are going to be necessary to get to the new cycle. And in numerology, which I'm actually sharing more insights on now on my socials, I'm doing like a numerology 101 type of thing.
Yeah, nice.
To help us, to help people understand, because numbers came before, they were like the original codes.
Yeah, yeah.
Before language,
Mm-hmm.
before culture, before religion, all of that. So there's a lot, like your numbers and your date of birth are not random. And maybe you know we could talk about that another time.
Definitely. How has it impacted your life recently? Have there been many endings for you in this cycle?
Just recently, like I just noticed that, I'm not tolerating as much from my loved ones, like, especially with my mother, having energetic boundaries with her. And sorry, my battery. Okay, here we go. um and not being like feeling guilty if I were to pull back from her and say I can't be there as much. And but I'm because I'm with her in spirit all the time, even if she's vulnerable at this time.
Yeah.
As long as I get my stuff done, there's no guilt. And it allows me to be more authentic and be present when I show up for people, and not bending over backwards anymore. Like, I mean, we're natural nurturers. This is what we
Yeah.
do, but there are limitations.
Yeah. And how's that? I mean, how have you been able to cope with that or deal with that? Because there's going to be so many people listening and watching that said who are carers for their parents, and they are battling between, their work, their own family, their, even with people who like have dementia or anything like that are calling them 24/7, or they're having to go in or they might even live with them, and as much as you love them, it can be a heavy burden. It can really drain you, and for some of these people are caring for people for years, 10, 20 years. That's a big chunk of your life that maybe you're missing out with your own family.
Yes, that makes total sense. And to me, in response to that, I get reminded of the energy of the Ace of Cups. It's, are you giving from a cup of a half cup, or overflowing? You
Mm-hmm.
like learning to work and design your life and energy so that way you're giving from overflow. Because from overflow, you're not interfering with the things I need to do for myself. It's more interdependence rather than codependence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. And because we're all responsible for our own happiness, no matter what our current situation
Yeah.
is. You can find peace in the moment.
And
And
it's the
yes,
guilt
it's
thing.
different.
Guilt they put on you, and I'm sure when they're more functional and they were younger, they would have no intention of putting that burden on a family loved one. But as you get older and they don't have anything else to think about, and they're just waiting for that call or for that person to show up, whereas you've got a million things going on, it's you're two different spectrums.
Well, that goes back to the programming, right? Societal and familial cultural expectations, the role as a daughter, as a son, like you're supposed to take care of yourself, but what if your circumstances and your life path doesn't fit that box? You
Yeah.
do it when you can. And
Yeah.
they, once my mom, when she is conscious, when she does like realize, like sometimes the space is necessary. There's power in silence, and she'll come out and 33:11 on the clock when I said that.
Yeah.
So it's oh, I missed you, I just miss your company.
Mm-hmm.
So because she's still very healthy, she still does the basic normal thing. She's very strong.
Yeah.
It's her mental capacity, it's her mental well-being that's at this ease. And as a light worker, I am trying to work and implement some. She's doing the breath work every day. She's doing the walking.
Mm-hmm.
So I support her in the ways that I can. Especially if it's driving, that's no problem. I can arrange my schedule because I'm not in a 9 to 5 setting,
Yeah.
where mom, you got to wait till the weekend, thank
Yeah.
God I'm out of that. But, I'm able to help more people more than ever because I don't live in that box. I don't follow conventional. I make my own structure and follow and create my own rules, and that. And I feel that gives me more freedom to, again, help others.
Absolutely. So obviously we've spoken to you quite a few times on the podcast now. For people that are brand new, obviously we're hearing a lot of astrology, a lot of numerology. Are these the main ways that you tune into people on the phone lines, or do you work in different ways or different connections? You know, just so people get a bit of a background on you if they're thinking of speaking to you.
Oh, sure. I tap into the Akashic. You know, I am tuned into not just my spirit guides, but there's ascended masters, there's galactic guides, and I channel into energy in however way it comes through, because a lot of my 5 C's are very potent. I've developed it because I do this work on a daily since 2016 professionally. It kind of it became second nature, like driving, right? So you just and let me just share real quick, like, sometimes people think I need cards, but I don't. They actually help. They show me actual specific stories where I would be able to ground what I'm pulling in through channeling
Yeah.
and transmitting. And like today, with the Two of Swords, I can tell that you stop denying. You can, and your emotions are you're not over emotional. You stopped fearing this, right? So
Yeah.
like there's specifics, there's something that the energies of the wisdom of the tarot does for me, and I'm so intrigued by it. I love it. So I do mediumship as well. I don't need cards for that because it's just a conversation that just kind of flows, and it's spirit based and led. And then wherever it varies, really. I'm like a chameleon, to be honest. I don't have a specific set of directions or instructions. Each and every personal read is unique. Everyone needs different things, and we're all on different paths of the journey. So I
Yeah.
try and honor that.
Absolutely. And apart from doing your psychic work, do you have any other work that you do? Any hobbies, any interests, or is the psychic world taken over and it's what you live and breathe and you practice every day?
Well, I have an intense passion for dance. I always have since I was a little girl. My dad used to record me every day, basically after school and on the weekends, dancing and making videos. And I feel like that's coming around. I find myself editing and making videos of me dancing today, and not dimming my light. And actually, that inner child is coming out more and more, and
Yeah.
putting
What
that
sort of
out there.
dancing? Just like sort of
Oh,
contemporary
different.
dance?
I
Yeah.
love all. I'm very eclectic with that. I studied pole and aerial arts.
Oh, amazing.
I studied the hoop, the
Yeah.
silk
Oh,
aerial
wow.
yoga, and there's also like sensual dance, which I love, which helps us tune into the divine feminine energy. And I think that's important for women to express that parts of
Yeah.
themselves. I just happen to like it because I love movement
Mhm.
and expressing your sensual nature. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
also love organizing. I'm good at helping people ease into their lives, because I could like organize someone's closet, and to me that's like a creative process.
Oh my God,
Even
I need
though
it in my life.
yeah, I'll come over. I'll come over and help you organize. I'm just good at it. And it's rewarding for me to see. And I had retail jobs all my life as a second job on top of the
Mhm.
teaching career. And I love snaking. It's called snaking. Like we would snake shoes by size and by color, and just
Yeah.
to see things like the pattern, because a lot of psychics have a very busy mind. It's
Yeah.
always on. So organizing things for me is very therapeutic. So somehow I'm in service to people using those gifts as well. And I love all creative things. I like to, explore different things. I just like learning new things all the time.
Yeah, nice. But it's just nice to, obviously we get to speak to you about astrology and things coming up, but it's nice to get to know you a bit more as a person as well. And yeah, and for people who don't know whereabouts in the country or in the world you are, where are you?
Currently I'm in Connecticut. This is where my base is.
Yeah.
I'm in a beautiful space overlooking, some trees here. And I'm just blessed. I call this opportunity to be in this beautiful space so that I could work on my dreams towards freedom. Like
Yeah.
it's just beautiful. And, I kind of go where spirit wants me to go. I don't really like making plans. I like making choices.
Have you always been a bit of a free spirit? Have you
Oh,
always, yeah.
very nomadic in my own way. I never was able to stay in one place. I always like all my life. I never lived home. I never lived home unless I needed to.
Was that because you
And
went traveling and just experiencing things?
well, a lot of it was also the relationship with my mom, was intense. I was so sensitive and could feel energies.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't want to be controlled. I just can't be 39 on the clock because they said that. So yeah, I could just never stay in one place. So yeah, free spirit. And I've always been drawn, I noticed all my life, to hotels and churches. Why? Because you could go in and out of them freely.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's something about that sense of freedom where I don't want to be obligated unless I want to be there because I choose to be there.
Yeah.
So yeah, are you a free? I sense that in you too. You need to
Yeah,
have somewhere else to go.
yeah, yeah. I think I was saying this to my husband the other day. I said, I haven't got a lot of friends. I've been a bit of a lonely wolf. I have like one or two like real close friends who I've in my 20s that I've still kept really good friendships with. But I'm not somebody who has a big friendship group with loads of people. And I think it does change as you get older anyway. You don't have as many as you did when you were younger. But yeah, I've always been like that. And I traveled quite a lot when I was younger, and I loved that. And I just love new experiences. So as much as I love my home life, I love to experience, and I like to feel that I'm always growing or trying something new. And I always say life's too short. I want to make sure I've tried as much as I can within reason. So yeah, I am a little bit like that. Maybe not.
Yes.
Maybe not so much the daredevil anymore, but yeah, I still like to experience or feel that I'm still learning or have a goal in mind rather than just staying a little bit flat and a bit stagnant.
Right, and you're in tune with your higher self because the soul is consistently changing, evolving, and expanding. And a lot of people get stagnant in their spiritual growth. They're not spiritually honest with themselves, hence they can't spiritually discern. They can't trust themselves because they're so blocked.
Yeah.
Right. So you following that intrinsic part of yourself is beautiful, and I think that's why we're aligned on this journey. So I'm excited about that.
So what's next? I know that we're running out of time. So what's next? What should we take away from this podcast today? What are we going to be talking about the next time we get back in touch with you? What's going to happen, do you reckon?
Well, I think we're going to touch base, as we head into, I'm excited about Leo season. My midhaven is in Leo, so that has to do with my public appearance and my work. So I'm watching myself come out more and more, and I've worked on that desire to be seen. That's kind of collapsed that timeline where I don't do it for the likes or the views. I kind of just, whoever is going to hear this, needs to hear this, is going to hear it in whatever timeline that is. Like, I just let go of that. So I'm excited to see all of the clearing and cleansing that we're all working through during this Cancer season, and see how we put that into application with Leo, because Leo's bold, Leo's expression, Leo's fun, Leo is the childlike spirit that even if we sometimes brush the red flags, it's for fun, right? And it's also being out and enjoying the sun at this time.
Yeah, summertime. Lovely. Well, as always, it's been a pleasure talking to you today. I look forward for our next catch up to see what's evolved and unfolded from our chat. But thank you so much indeed. Always a pleasure. And we hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Likewise, Adele and everybody. Thank you so much for listening today.
Perfect. Thank you, Sherry. Take care.
Bye, Adele. Bye, everybody.